So I'm really hesitant to say that any book has changed my life or that anything has changed my life because there are croissants and hair rollers that have changed my life. There are songs that I have listened to over and over again that I will claim have changed my life. I will say there are books that I really love that have changed my mindset. And I would say right now, this is at the top of that list. I am extremely guilty of toxic productivity. Not so much one of those finance dudes who are like, you should be grinding all the time, bro. Or someone who says that you should not have any friends who also aren't hustling. Or people who make moves in silence and then post 500 stories on Instagram because they're clearly making moves in silence. However, I am toxically productive in a way that I am constantly, okay, how can I do more throughout a day? How do I add more to my list? How do I accomplish all the things I want? I forgot who said it, but there's this famous quote that people overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year. Well, I thought I could do a year's worth of work in a day because clearly mentally healthy. So I picked up this book just for pure curiosity. And I said, yeah, why not? It had an interesting title, and Scarcity, Why Having Too Little Means So Much. It's a book by Senthil Molnathan. So the book covers scarcity as a whole, but he really does talk about it from an economy standpoint, especially when it comes to money. But I found a way to connect that to my obsession of time and my obsession with money. So let's get into it. First part is tunneling, which is when you're only able to focus on one thing, which I am so guilty of. Occasionally get into a flow, you are tunneling so hard that you actually cannot focus on anything else, which is something that he calls goal inhibition, but it can cause damage to your life. Anyone knows this who has ever had a long project or something that takes over their lives. That means a lot of sacrifices. That means sacrifices to occasionally your health, most likely sacrifices to your sleep, sacrifices towards resources, or sometimes your relationship if worse comes to worse. Or this is what he refers to as the tunneling tax. The tunneling tax is the price you pay for tunneling. It could also be a positive thing. Maybe you did so well at this project that you really focused on that you got promoted. When this works out in your favor, that's what he refers to as the focus dividend. You will find that focusing on one thing, however, will take up a lot of time and effort, which is also referred to as bandwidth. Bandwidth is used a lot in corporate talk, but it's really just a term of saying, how much space and energy do I have? How much more can I take on? How many more projects? How much more money? How much more time? A lot of us go into it thinking that we have unlimited bandwidth, and in the reality, bandwidth is a very limited thing. And unfortunately, a lack of bandwidth can make your life really harder in the long run. So scarcity is not just some easy thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, these people are born with more, these people are born with less. So it just means that some people are going to have more scarcity than others. But it's actually really a cycle. Yeah, that is a factor, which I'll dive into. Slack, which we're going to refer to as the amount of resources that you have. Those with a lot of slack, those with a lot of resources and energy and bandwidth are able to navigate this life problem very easily. The problem is that we have people who don't have the same amount of bandwidth who are struggling. Others with less slack have to juggle their resources. And this is where the scarcity cycle really starts. Low-income individuals face this problem because I have to focus on really urgent things. The things that are in the front of you, the things that are in the front of your brain, they tend to put things off more. Someone who got fired and then they got a parking ticket, they're gonna focus on paying rent and buying food and all of their actual bare necessities way before they pay a parking ticket. They just don't pay it at all. You're just gonna keep getting fees on fees on fees. This is also sometimes the reason why you come home and you snap at your partner. It's because you use all of your resources at work of being friendly and approachable and dealing with people who you find challenging. You come home and you snap at them because all of your resources and all of your energy and all of your slack has been put into your professional life, and you come home and you have significantly less to give. So why am I talking about this book? This book is clearly an economy book that's really meant for policy writers and creators, which I am not. However, I read it and it really kind of smacked me in the face of, oh my God, I do not have any bandwidth. So what did I do with this information? What did I take away from learning that I needed to add more slack into my life? Well, I extended all of my personal deadlines. I was stressing myself out with self-made deadlines. I'm like, okay, well, I have to do this tonight. I have to walk the dogs. I have to make dinner. I have to clean the house. I have to make sure that I'm focusing on any form of side gigs that I have. I need to take on all the projects in the world, and it stressed me out. So I've decided to give myself significantly less things to do in a day, which actually made me more productive. Somehow stressing out about the lack of resources and the lack of time that I had actually was taking up more time than doing the work. To-do list back by 25%, and I actually get more done in the day. Also, taking on a lot and stretching out my bandwidth at home and in my personal life caused me to stretch in other ways. Also, when I started slowing down and taking more time taking care of things, I was much better at doing the things ahead of me. I can make videos that I actually like now because I'm giving myself more than a day to work on them. I was originally trying to post twice a week, and then I was stressing out about how I was going to find time to film and post twice a week. I was saying, okay, I want to exercise every single day this week, when realistically, I probably only need to do it 3 or 4 times a week. And now I'm able to work out and actually enjoy it instead of stressing out about how I'm going to fit everything else in my day on top of getting a shower in. Number 2, I started saving for things, and I started giving myself financial slack. I now have 5 savings accounts. I have my nest egg, I have a vacation, now have a gift/holiday savings account. I have a joint cash reserve that I have with my partner, and then I have my investment wardrobe funds that I'm saving up for myself. By giving myself some financial slack, I'm not stressing out over things when they show up. I'm running into some car trouble right now, and I'm able to take care of it with much more ease because I have a nest egg that would take care of that. Every single January, I look at my credit card bill and freak out, and now that I have a savings account just solely for gifts, I can just withdraw that once a year, pay it off, and move on with my life. I want to go on vacations, but I don't want to sit at every restaurant when I'm at vacation stressing out over the price of things, because aren't vacations supposed to be restful? I wanted to prevent myself from freaking out every single time I got a ticket, every single time I found a jacket that then I don't want to look back on every purchase and say, okay, well, what if I lose my job? I accounted for that. I took care of it. I gave myself financial slack. I gave myself some resources. This is also a concept that's easier said than done. If you are a person who is barely making by and barely surviving on the salary that you have, and this concept is actually kind of flawed because you're probably just getting through. A huge part of this book is actually empathy for people who do not have those resources by birth. It is not a way of saying, it's a way of saying there is a lot of privilege with people with generational wealth. Even me, I'm quite lucky, and I have been quite blessed. I've hit some hard times, but I've also been very lucky, and now that I have family and a partner who would take care of me if anything hit the fan. Finding a way to simplify something that you don't really need to do, that you shouldn't be spending mental energy on, is a good way to prevent juggling. And that is why a lot of the most productive and the most successful people have resources. It's not as cut and dry as saying, you have as many hours in the day as Beyonce. Yeah, but Beyonce has so much more money than me. She's able to accomplish a lot more. She worked hard for it. But currently, if you're a mom and you're looking at a celebrity thinking, oh, I could take on the world because look what they're doing. They have money. They have help. It's not the same. And if I've learned anything, is that as much as I love the focus dividends, I really am going to avoid the tunneling tax.